Hey, Skullheads, I'm Snags,
And I'm old Silky.
and today we have Howard Fields with us, who has been a drummer with Harry Chapin and with the Harry Chapin Band since the mid 70s. Brett, you want to introduce him?
Yeah, so we've got Howard Fields with us. My coworker James, I want to give a shout out to him for uh basically setting this up. This is so cool. Um one thing I wanted to ask you, Howard, in the early 70s, you kind of saw a whole thing of like the folk pop um kind of saturated the 70s vibe, if you will. The um, Jim Croce, Harry Chapin, Roger Whittaker, a lot of those um, types of artists. Uh, what did you what do you think kind of made that so or how did that kind of become the scene? And then do you think anything specifically happened where that the whole direction changed in
Oh,
music?
yeah. Well, for me, it was the Beatles and the Stones and the Kinks and Dylan and the Hollies. Um, those were the bands I really liked at the time. And that was like late 60s, early 70s. And then more singer-songwriter people started coming along as, I don't have to tell you guys, like Elton John.
Yeah.
And you mentioned who are Jim Croce
James
and
Taylor.
James Taylor, certainly. Paul Simon started,
Oh
going
yeah.
into different phases of his own career, and um, and um, and then there were other people like Harry Chapin that popped up, and I remember, and I actually knew somebody who knew Harry and his brothers, um, which is kind of like how I got involved with him.
Right.
Partly, I was playing in when I was at college at Long Island University, um, like 1970, 71, 72, and I started playing in a band, just cover stuff, the hit records of the day, and
Right.
playing bars around Long Island and
Wow.
clubs and whatnot. And Doug Walker was the guitar player in that band. And I remember him telling me that he used to, that, Harry Chapin had popped up and he said, yeah, I know him. I used to sing in the same church choir as they did, Harry and Tom and Steve,
Right.
Grace Church in Brooklyn Heights. And,
Hmm.
um, and, he, and we kept playing in that band together. And I remember once he told me that Steve Chapin asked him to play guitar on a demo that he was doing, and he did, and I went there, and I met Steve Chapin for the first time, and and a year or so later, this guitar player again. His name is Doug Walker.
Uh-huh.
He told me that Steve Chapin called him because they want to do a couple of Broadway producers want to do a Broadway show based on Harry Chapin's songs.
Oh
And
wow.
he said, I'm going to be playing guitar in it. And they're looking for a drummer to play the show. And he asked me if I'd like to get an audition set up. And I said, sure. So he helped me set up an audition. It was an informal audition with just Doug and Steve Chapin and I playing music for a while. And by way of that, I got the job playing in the Broadway show, which was called the Night That Made America Famous. Um,
And Harry had what, like 5 or 6 albums out by then?
that was the show opened in '75. I would say that his fourth album. Yes, that's right. His fourth album had just come out. His fourth album was Verities and Balderdash,
Yeah.
which was had Cats in the Cradle on it. So
Yeah.
the fact that he had a number one song on the album, or number one song under his belt, was what got those Broadway producers interested in him.
Yeah, he was putting out like two albums a year. Did that when you joined the band officially? Were you under pressure like that? Um, that was like the style of the '70s. I know Kiss was forced to do two albums a year, or they in their contract, or they would not um, get residuals the way they did you were you under that kind of pressure or
No, when I first hooked up with him to do that Broadway show, he was recording his fifth album. I don't know. I couldn't guarantee you what you said is true, that he was
Mm.
doing two albums a year. I mean, he had four albums out. It was probably more than 2 years that his career had been happening
Oh,
when
okay,
when this Broadway show occurred.
gotcha.
And so he was recording his fifth album right about the time the Broadway show ran. And I remember going to one of the recording sessions. I wasn't playing on it. I just wanted to, check it out, and they allowed me to come. So, um, the next album we did, which was the first album I was on, was a live album called Greatest Stories Live, and that was my first album that we did.
That's
And
cool.
then the first studio album, which was the one after that, probably came a year later or so.
And
And that was sort
how did you get in onto the live album and kind of into the band? Did he just come see the show and he really liked your drumming, or what was that process like?
not much of a process at all, really. Um, the Broadway show ran its course, which was just 6 weeks, which is quite the failure by Broadway standards,
Oh.
you know. But it was the best thing that could have happened to me because we he decided to add drums to his concert act.
Hmm.
He never had drums before.
So
So
did you apart from Harry Chapin, um did you tour with other acts like jazz or any were you did you do any of that?
no, I heard you mention jazz earlier, and no, I didn't. I was sort of working on jazz a little bit. I was in music school
Uh-huh.
um, shortly before the I got the Broadway show with Harry. Um,
Okay.
but then, no, I wasn't playing jazz. I mean,
Okay.
um,
I had that wrong. I thought you had well who were your drummer influences? What just mainly those late '60s style.
yeah, yeah, I would say so. Dino Danelli from the Rascals. I always liked
Oh yeah.
Ringo. I always liked Ringo, how he played. And yeah, anybody who played him, was always checking out who the studio musicians were on like Dylan albums. And so, I was listening to the people that were playing on those artists, the records of those artists.
Hmm. Did you ever interact with any of the Wrecking Crew?
No,
No.
no, did you?
No, I wish. Uh,
I
no,
wish you did.
those guys were just phenomenal.
Yeah, well, that was going on out in LA,
I
and
got you.
I didn't, no, I had nothing to do with any of them.
Yeah.
But, that's around the time I started learning their names, you know. Uh,
Right.
um, it's funny you mentioned them because I always remember when the Mamas and Papas were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, what's her name?
Oh,
Michelle, Michelle Phillips,
Phillips. Yeah.
John Phillips' wife, who was the
Yeah.
pretty girl in the band,
Sure.
and she came. They were inducted, and everybody said a little something, and stepped up to the mic, and the first words out of her mouth, she says, "I want to thank Hal Blaine and Joe Osborne and Larry Knechtel," and that was the bass and keyboard player and drummer for the Wrecking Crew that you just mentioned.
Uh-huh.
So
Wow.
she was quite indebted to them for because
Oh,
they played on those Mamas and Papas
Oh
songs.
yeah.
her and a million other bands. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
That's very cool. Um,
What got you into drumming in the first place? Like just early on, what drew you to that particular instrument?
Um, I had a friend who was dabbling in drums, and I started dabbling with him, and the two of us we started listening more closely to what those drummers on those records were doing, Ringo and Charlie Watts for the Stones, and um, everybody else, and it just seemed like a fascinating thing, a
Mm,
great kind of like hobby, just a fun thing to do, really. And
mhm,
and I started playing in local bands, and it took a good few years before I started thinking whether or not I could maybe make a living out of this.
yeah,
So at a certain point, I decided to give it a try. And, I was quite lucky meeting the fellow I mentioned initially, Doug Walker,
mhm.
because he was affiliated with the Chapin family.
That's it's so cool. I like you mentioned Ringo. He is. I feel like apart from Beatles fame, people don't always mention him as a drummer, but he beat the hell out of the Skins. You watch any of that old footage, and he is just crushing the drums. He was a
yeah. Everyone talks about John Bonham and Ginger Baker and all those guys, but I think Charlie Watts and Ringo Starr are both very underrated. Just the
Very
way they,
much,
yeah,
very much so. They're both underrated. Ringo had a great little swing to his playing that just fit perfectly into, the songs that the Beatles were doing.
yeah.
Oh,
Um,
he was great. He was great, and he is underrated.
Have you ever met him in your musical career?
Ringo, no,
Yeah, yeah.
no, I
Interesting.
haven't.
um, so how was life on the road? Were you guys like cramming a ton of shows in the tour, or was it
Yeah,
kind of
what
a
was that transition like from just playing local gigs around town to hitting the road with Harry Chapin?
Yeah, that's a good question. It was pretty phenomenal. It was the most fun I ever had in my life.
Mhm.
Doing that, and um, we never went on like tours like big time bands like the Eagles did, where they'll go tour for 4 or 5 months. We were out for like 3 weeks and home for 10 days and out for 10 days and
Oh,
home for a week and out for a few days and home for 2 or 3 weeks. And it was like that all year round. So,
okay.
but it
That
was
seems
really,
healthier. I bet the families stayed together more than the Eagles' families did.
yeah, well, I think Harry wanted to stay home
Yeah.
with his family. He didn't want to go away for extended amounts of time.
So were these tours you'd play the same places and then back home and not travel very far then? Is that kind of what that was?
It would be like, 2 or 3 weeks out in the West Coast, or 10 days in the Midwest, or
Okay.
you know, a week or so down, in the South, Florida and whatnot, Georgia. Um, so it was like that.
Yeah, so
It was
that's
like
not
that.
so grueling as like some of these 55 night just every all year and a half of
Yeah, I
touring.
mean, bands like Led Zeppelin, they would be gone for a year at a time, you know?
Yeah,
So,
that's
Yep, that's
crazy.
right.
yeah.
We never
Yeah.
did that. If you were really interested in seeing what we did, you should go to my website, howiefields.com, and you'll see a drum set, and you could click on Harry Chapin, the Howie Fields years. And
Okay.
once you click on that, you could see you could click on something that says chronological list, and it has every single show the band Harry ever did with the band. He did many
That's
many more shows on his own. He did a lot
right.
of solo stuff, but an awful lot with the band, and they're all listed there, and you could see just how many days we were away and
Right.
uh, versus home.
We'll put that link in our
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
yeah.
We'll put that link on our website. We have notes from every episode on our website, so we'll definitely link that.
Sure,
That's
There's a chronological list.
you see it. Hmm.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
and on Spotify you guys are it goes up to about 78 and there's nothing
Spotify, gee,
yeah.
Well, it just
Spotify.
basically it's got all the albums except for the last one. It doesn't have sequel, but it has all the other albums.
I got you.
Um, yeah, it looks like you guys played the Atlanta, Georgia, October 9th, 1975 at the Civic Center, which is
Oh,
Right.
a well-known venue here where
yeah.
I saw Alice Cooper, I saw the Kinks there. Yep.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, is that where you're from, the Atlanta area?
Yeah, I'm from Atlanta. A friend of
Yeah,
mine and
we're
I we grew up in Atlanta. He lives in Fort Myers now, but
yeah, I'm down in Florida now.
I got
Hmm.
two best friends, and my other best friend Arthur. We met the keyboardist from the Kinks after the concert. This is probably their last tour, early '80s, and he was a little bit loopy, and we walked a block or two with him just talking about music. And me
Yeah.
and my friend Arthur were gonna form a band called Shoe, and he thought that was hilarious. He was like, "That's such a great band name, mate. Shoe. That's hilarious." It was a great show, though.
Sure.
Yeah, the Kinks were
The
amazing.
Kinks.
I heard you mention them, but that was a
Yeah.
phenomenal band.
They were one of my favorites. Yeah, I saw them a good handful of times.
Yeah, they were
Yeah,
great.
I always liked the Kinks and the Animals a lot. They had the Animals especially were so good. Because
So
everybody liked the Stones and the Beatles.
you did these. You said you go out for just a couple weeks at a time and come back, but nonetheless, you guys were constantly on the road. I'm looking at this tour itinerary here, and it's
Yeah.
just a countless amount of shows every
Yeah.
single year. I'm up to 1978 now. So
Yeah,
it was
there were a lot of shows.
Yeah, go out for a few weeks, come back for a few weeks, go right back out for a few weeks, I'm guessing, is that's kind of how it was.
That's pretty much, yeah, generally speaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you guys play any pranks on each other? I know any book about Led Zeppelin, you read about these just horrific pranks they would play on each other. Did you guys do any of that, or was it just do the show and retire for the evening?
Any
Well,
any entertaining stories, basically, is what he's asking.
we we had a great time out there, we pretty much partied after the shows, meet people and go to parties, or people would come to the hotel. Um, we had a great time. As I
That's
said, it was the most fun I ever had in my life, really.
Mhm. And just traveling and seeing everything. Uh, it's just so fascinating. A lot of the music we listen to, we always talk about, uh, getting that time machine working and going back and catching all these bands.
Right.
That's just so cool.
Yeah.
Um,
Um, I saw the Beatles, by the
Oh,
way.
you
In
have to
the,
tell us about that.
I went to they played Shea Stadium 2 years in a row, August 65 and August 66. And I remember I went to the second time around, August 23rd, 1966. That
Wow.
was pretty fantastic.
that would have been their last tour, man. That
Yeah,
was
would that have been Help?
Oh, that was their last tour.
yeah.
Do we
They
know what album
played
they were promoting at the time?
It had to have been Help because
Yeah,
Revolver. That was all.
they didn't
They
tour
were.
that.
No,
Yeah,
they were in the studio tweaking all that.
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Wow.
That's
Well,
awesome.
it was great.
Who else did you see back then? You were right in the eye of the storm.
Yeah, I saw the Stones many times. First time was in '69. I really
Ah,
regret that I missed them on the '64 and '65. I believe they played New York, and then they were gone for a while. So I saw them in '69, and
oh man.
the '72 tour
Oh,
was probably the best. When I think of the best concerts I've ever seen, um, I think that the Stone '72 tour
I
was the
bet.
best one.
yeah.
Did who opened for them? Was it like Ike
Stevie
Turner,
Wonder, right?
Stevie Wonder? Yeah,
That's right. That
yeah.
was '72. That was Stevie Wonder.
Wow.
Yes. '69 was not bad either. It was Ike and Tina Turner. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
who else?
BB King.
B.B. King and Terry Reid.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
Uh, Now that Beatles show, did they play like 20 minutes and you were out of there, or how was
It
that?
was maybe it was maybe 35 minutes they
Okay.
played. It was
Now,
pretty brief.
did you hear any of it, or
Was
was
it
it
just a bunch of girls screaming?
No, no, I heard it. I
Yeah.
okay?
heard it. It wasn't like world class sound. They hadn't
Sure.
developed really good concert sound yet.
Yeah.
But I heard it. It wasn't just screaming.
Okay. Some of that, you hear or you see footage, and you're like, oh my god, you just scream for 30 minutes, and then they're back in the helicopter, and you
Well,
know,
there was I mean, that was what prompted the whole development of the modern arena PA system that the Stones
sure,
started using when he caught them on tour.
yeah,
there was a switch there. We got to be louder than the screaming fans. There's a whole
like,
concert technology that was developed as a result of that. What
Yeah,
about
I
what
was going to
about
say it was like monitors came into being, stage monitors, so
mhm,
you could actually hear yourself.
mhm.
yeah, and that would allow you to play better if you can't hear what the other,
Yeah.
uh, what everyone else is doing.
What about Dylan? Did you ever catch him in his folky Greenwich Village days? Any of that? Or
Well, unfortunately, no. I wish I had. Um, I saw Dylan first at the a famous concert, the concert for Bangladesh.
oh my
Oh,
God.
That they,
69.
This is killing me that we're talking to somebody that was all at all this stuff. We we saw the Stones in '89 and we considered ourselves lucky.
Yeah.
right.
You
Well,
were
see,
at the concert for Bangladesh?
yeah, both of them. There was one in the
Oh.
afternoon and one at night.
Yeah, so
And
that was everybody. Ringo and Paul, or maybe
no,
not Paul. George was there.
well, it was George's concert.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
He
his
put it
deal.
together, and he did have Ringo as one of the two drummers up
Eric
on stage.
Clapton. And,
And Clapton was there. That's right.
wow.
Leon Russell. Um,
Oh,
and nobody knew Dylan was going to be there. And and they brought him out. It was fantastic.
wow. Did the band play there?
No,
No.
the that was 1970, the concert for Bangladesh, and then in I think it was '74 they did the Bob Dylan and the band tour, and I
Hmm.
went to that too. That was fun. That was
Wow.
great. That was
Yeah,
great.
yeah. That was that 74 tour has been released only recently as one of his bootleg series. So
Yeah.
you can check that out and relive that whole show.
Who else did you see back then?
Oh God. I mean, I saw Zeppelin,
Oh
before
man.
anybody knew who they were.
Tell us about
Um,
that.
69. Oh, well, I kind of knew who they were. That's who I went to see. Um, I was at the Fillmore East. You heard of the
Yeah.
venue?
Oh, of course.
Absolutely.
Slightly.
Fillmore East, great.
Legendary.
It
Wow.
was Led Zeppelin, Procol Harum, and what was the name of that wacky band? Inagata Devita, the
Oh,
Iron
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 Bunny.
Butterfly.
Butterfly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. So that was the show, and
Wow.
yeah, talk about getting back to drumming. Yeah,
Oh,
nobody had ever heard of this guy before, John Bonham,
Yeah.
yeah.
and it was like the line had been drawn, and it was the year zero. It was because he was such a phenomenal drummer. You
Now,
know, no,
where
It's
do you
like the
place
Jimi Hendrix of drummers. He really revolutionized everything.
where do you place Bonham with Ginger Baker? Do you Are they just two completely different?
I'd say they're completely different, but both of them were kind of, you know, almost enigmatic, in the way they played compared to the way everybody else played. They
Right.
really took it to another level.
And then there's the wild card of Keith Moon. Did you ever see him live?
Oh yeah, sure. I was a Who freak. I went to see them quite a few times at the Fillmore East. They played quite a few times there, and I went and saw them several times. Um, and yeah, Keith Moon was another one. He was kind of not as not as controlled as the other guys we've been talking about,
That
Yeah,
but
was his whole shtick. He was totally out of control. Yeah.
yeah,
but
but he
I
was
mean, as
great.
sloppy as
Yeah.
he was just brilliant.
He always stayed with the song somehow. Yeah, that
Yeah.
was that was I've actually heard the reason why Kenny Jones didn't stay with the Who when they got back together in '89 was because Roger Daltrey felt like he wasn't out of control enough. Like
Mm.
Roger Daltrey really liked Keith Moon's drumming style, and he just didn't want Kenny Jones because Kenny Jones was too in control.
Well, they love Zach Starkey.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, he was great. I saw
Yeah.
them once with Zach Stark, and I saw him on TV quite a few times.
Mhm.
Um, I had a nice little encounter with Kenny Jones once. Um, it was our first time in playing in London, and we um, try to get this. Let me organize my thoughts. We played a few shows in England, and for some strange reason, they put us on two shows in two different cities in Germany, um, with um, Status Quo.
Oh
You,
yeah,
they were one of the prototypes of heavy metal back
yeah.
around '77, and Status Quo, John Mayall, Dr. Feelgood,
No,
um, and the Small Faces, kind of a retreading of the Small Faces.
was Steve Marriott or
Yeah, Steve Marriott, Kenny Jones, and Ian McLaughlin were
wow?
the three original Small Faces, and
Yeah.
they added a new bass player, and so we went from the first show in Germany to the second show, and I have to tell you, on the plane, you could hear how loud and drunk they were. You
The
know,
faces? No way.
yeah. And so we're at the area where the baggage claim area, and
Right.
I was looking at our concert review from London some nights earlier, and the headline was "Ovation for a Master." It was a really, really complimentary review of our London show, and I'm reading it quietly by myself, and behind me I hear someone say, "Ovation for a Master, very good." And I turned around, and it was Kenny Jones,
Nice.
and he was very, very friendly. Um, And I told him, hey, I have to tell you, I'm a real fan of your drumming for many years. I saw you play with the Faces. Of course, the Small Faces themselves never got to England, never got to the U.S. But then, when he played later on with Rod Stewart and the Faces,
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm. That's my
you
favorite
know,
phase of that band. Yeah.
yeah, I told him, I said,
Ronnie Wood.
guys have been always a fan of your drumming. And so there we are playing compliments to each other. So
Mm.
it
Oh,
was
cool.
that was great.
That is cool. It's funny you mentioned seeing Zeppelin in '69. We had a show last year with Cowboy Mock Bell, who sang on that third Joe Perry Project record, and he tells the story of catching them live in Boston in this little club, and the whoever played before, um, everybody was there to see them, and everyone left, and their road manager Richard Cole was outside, like forcing kids to go back inside and
No.
see Zeppelin, and
Yeah,
he's telling this story, and we're Snags and I are both like, oh my god, that's amazing, and it's so funny because Mock Bell says um, it was a great show until Jimmy Page starts uh, getting the bow out and beating on the guitar with his bow, and
right.
us.
Dazed
Yeah,
and Confused went on a little too long for him.
Yeah, it was just funny that he was so vehemently against that whole thing.
He
Uh,
also has a great story about he was in some small town and some promoter would set up this circus tent and get bands to come in and play in the circus tent, and this new weird guy from England named Jimi Hendrix came to play. And
right.
he's like 15 feet away from Jimi Hendrix. And I think there was one song on the radio at the time, and there was a bunch of like preppy people that went to see that one song. And Hendrix was just doing all these wild 12-minute guitar solos and just totally freaking everybody out. Like there was nothing, they'd never seen anything like it. And he's 15 feet away, and it's a small little circus tent with like a few hundred people. Am I recalling that correct,
yeah, I
Brett?
think so. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how. Yeah. Uh, but just the him disliking the bow thing, the Jimmy Page, and us coming up, we watched Dazed and Confused like
I would
constantly.
watch Jimmy Page play with a bow for the whole concert just to be in
Yeah,
the same room with him.
it was
Yeah,
just, to me, that whole solo with the bow was just incredible. Like nothing ever sounded like that, and
right.
so
Yeah, I
it's
remember that pretty clearly that first
yeah.
time I saw them.
It's just funny to meet someone who's like, "Oh God, turn that," You're like, "What?"
Who else did you meet while touring aside from Kenny Jones? Do you have any other similar memories like that?
I remember we got introduced in San Diego. We played at the Seaquarium. We played. The stage was where they would do the Shamu the Whale show.
Oh
You
wow.
know, we
Right.
were right there. The stage was like right there at the water where, and
Oh,
anyway, all I'm trying to say is that Alice Cooper was he was the MC and he introduced us, and
nice.
and
That's
we
cool.
we met him in the backstage area, which was just a bus that they had out back, and
Mhm.
he was pretty friendly guy, very nice.
And
Um,
now is this pre or probably after the Alice Cooper band broke up and he was solo?
Had probably had to be. Was this like late 70s?
yeah, Yeah, it
Yeah.
was
Okay,
77,
Yeah.
78.
I gotcha.
He's
Yeah.
apparently a very, in contrast to his stage character, he's apparently a very down to earth, laid back
I
guy.
thought so, just being with him for a few minutes in the backstage area.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
The other
That's so cool.
the other person we met a Gordon Lightfoot who, he was another one of those singer-songwriters that I really started listening to um, before I played with Harry. And Harry was a fan of his, and we were playing at the Massey Hall in Toronto.
Yeah.
And he came backstage, and I remember Harry asking him, "You want to come out and do a couple of songs?" And he said, "No, no, I don't want to." And it wasn't, Harry just decided on his own to bring him out, regardless
Uh-huh.
of what he said.
Oh,
And
fun.
yeah, so he came out and he did a couple of songs. That was fantastic. And he invited us up to his house up in the hills of Toronto um, afterwards, and that was great. Hanging
That's
out,
so cool.
hanging out with him.
Yeah. Uh, it's always we always joked the Edmund Fitzgerald like if those sailors had heard that song, they might not have gone down and just
Right.
messing with people, and they're like, "What? Wait a minute." But that's just very cool.
Yeah.
Did you ever catch Elvis anytime while you were?
No, I didn't. I regret I didn't go see Elvis. And I think in his maybe 70 tour around 70 or 71. I
Yeah,
know couple of my friends were going, and I said, "Really?" And they said, "Yeah." I said,
that would have been the time to see him, I think.
Well, he was wearing the white outfit already, and
Yeah, yeah.
I would have preferred to seen him 10 years earlier.
Oh, yeah. Of course, 50s would have been amazing.
50s was Elvis was peak Elvis. He did get back into shape for a brief period there in the early 70s though. Did those Memphis soul kind of albums and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, it would have been cool. Um,
Mm.
so how is are you guys still touring now? I
I wouldn't call it touring. We do we do maybe geez around 10 shows a year. When I
right.
say we, it's myself and Steve Chapin, and John Wallace was one of the founding members of the Harry Chapin band,
Mhm.
and he's known for that high vocal part in the song "Taxi."
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
he does that, and so Steve and John and I, um, and John's son Clark is on guitar, and we have a cellist, and so the five of us go out as the Harry Chapin band because they have at least three people that were actually in the Harry Chapin band,
yeah.
Harry, Steve, and John and I, and but then we take that five-piece band and we add it to Tom Chapin and his daughters Abigail and Lily, who are known as the Chapin sisters, and Harry's daughter Jen Chapin um, performs, and she performs with her husband and a guitar on bass and a guitar player. So there's around five, six, seven, eight, 11 people at times on stage.
That's beautiful. So it's still very much a family
Yeah,
thing. That's so cool.
yeah, they're called Chapin family shows, in fact.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
So how did
Yeah.
this when unfortunately Harry passed away in the car accident in 81, how did this process happen of eventually deciding to continue on? I'm sure there was a whole kind of shock and grief process where there was nothing really going on, and then there was just it seemed like it
Yeah.
organically started up. Can you talk about that process?
Yeah, probably a good 5 or 6 years passed after Harry's accident, and then we did one show in New York, um, and um, and then maybe another one. There was just one or two shows a year for for quite a while, and then Steve Chapin decided he wanted to start what he called at that time the Steve Chapin Band with John and I,
Mm,
and we did that, and then we started doing shows with Tom and his daughters. So it's hard to recreate the exact metamorphosis of it,
right.
but it started out like kind of like that.
Would you
And
ever put anything like a new album or anything
Live recordings or anything like
lives or
that, or
anything?
is it purely just performances?
yeah, we put one CD out, Chapin Family, a live concert, um, Chapin Chapin Family Show. So there's one thing out there,
Hmm.
but no, we haven't done any original music. Although we do a few of Steve's songs live, and Tom does a couple of his own live, and the Chapin sisters do a couple of originals, and as does Jen Chapin.
Right. Now, do you have a main vocalist when you're just doing the Harry stuff, or
No, it's the people that sang the songs back then
okay?
in the day still sing them. Um, I mean, Steve, but obviously Harry's not there, so
Yeah,
Steve sings most of those songs.
I got you.
Most of Harry's songs. And, on the Chapin family shows, Tom Chapin will do one or two. And, uh, and Lily and Abigail will do one or two of Harry's songs, as does Jen. And it's really interesting hearing females do Harry's music. It's
Yeah,
nice, you know.
a different contrast. That's cool.
And then for in your own career, did you perform? I know you're doing these Harry Chapin Chapin family shows, but did you sign on with anybody else or tour with anybody else of note professionally, or did you kind of just wind it down and just stick with the Chapin family stuff?
Oh no, I still do a bunch of odds and ends gigs, anything, to get a paycheck,
Sure.
Um, I play a lot of country music in like people's backyards, especially in the summertime. Um, and all kinds of different parties and stuff like that.
That's cool.
What's some of the most interesting stuff along those lines that you've done over the years? Anything stand out?
No,
No.
no,
Yeah.
none of none
Now
of it's
you're up
that.
in. Are you up in New York when you're playing
I live in New Jersey,
New
Bergenfield,
Jersey?
New Jersey, which is by the George Washington Bridge.
Okay,
And, and I play all over Jersey, Connecticut, New York, upstate New York. Um,
that's cool.
It's kind of
to
like
drive.
party gigs, hired party gigs
Yeah, that's
kind
what
of
they
stuff.
are.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what they are.
Yeah, cool.
That's it's great that it's all close. You're not killing yourself to get anywhere. Uh,
No, I'm not. If I'm home a couple of Saturday nights in a row, I don't complain about it.
yeah, no, that's so cool. You're able to do that. You're obviously very successful through the '70s, and it's carried you, right?
Yeah, yeah, I'm doing okay, so I don't have to worry about doing that many gigs or not.
And
Another show we did was with Albert Bouchard from Blue Oyster Cult. Did you ever interact with them at all?
No, not at all.
Uh,
the
Um,
Long Island band, yeah, they he had some really entertaining stories. This hilarious story about when he quit the band and
yeah,
went out and destroyed somebody's car. It
yeah,
was pretty funny.
pretty
Some
funny.
some interesting stuff. Oh, I do want to touch on the charity work. So Harry Chapin was very passionate about combating hunger, and
yeah, that's right.
and there were charity. He actually died driving on his way to a charity gig. Is that am I correct in that?
I don't think that's correct.
Okay.
He was on his way to a business meeting in Manhattan.
Oh, okay.
And that evening, we were playing a free concert in his hometown, Huntington, New York, which is in Long Island.
Hmm.
Oh,
Um,
that's the story then. Okay.
yeah.
So,
So that show didn't happen.
tell us about the charity work like that he was passionate about, and it sounds like you guys are still continuing the cause there, doing
Well, we do
benefit.
what we can. We really, collect food at the shows. We urge people to bring canned goods and whatnot.
Mhm.
That's distributed to, you know, various
Food
hunger
banks.
entities. Yeah, food banks is
Hmm.
the word I was looking for. And we did all those benefits those years out in Fort Myers, Florida. Um,
It's so noble because so many other bands could have the opportunity to do something as as noble as that, and you just don't see that, you know.
yeah, well, we do what we can, and it's really compared to what Harry did, it's not very much. He was
Right.
he was quite driven in that direction to try.
Were you there when that started? Was there something that kind
Oh
of
yeah.
pushed him in that direction to start doing that?
Oh yeah, we were right there from the beginning when he came up with the idea of trying to solve world hunger, and and um, and he was doing a lot of benefit shows, and then he got involved in politics to
Mm.
try to. And the big deal was that when Jimmy Carter was president, he got Carter to establish a presidential commission on world hunger.
Wow.
Wow.
But yeah, and unfortunately, it came late in Carter's one single term, and Reagan was next, and then
They
he
just
just
put
did.
the kibosh on
He did exactly, yeah.
it. Yeah.
So, but that was quite a
Accomplishment.
accomplishment,
Sure.
yeah, for him to get that done, and he was quite driven. He was going to Washington, a few times a week,
Wow.
just to hobnob with the right people
Right.
to get
Was
that going.
was there anything that kind of uh led him to that, or it just kind of happened and you guys were there?
He didn't grow up. Did he? He didn't grow up in poverty or anything like that. It's just more just
No,
a cause he just felt passionate about because he's a good person. Basically, it sounds like.
that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think there was a priest who had a radio show. His name was Father Bill Ayers. If you Google it, you'll find him. And
Uh-huh.
I think he might be the person responsible for pushing Harry in that direction.
Hmm.
Okay.
Interesting.
But I remember the very beginnings, the meetings he had at like recording studios when we had a break, and he'd be having a meeting with a handful of people. Um, um, it's just something I remember in the very beginning of my career with him.
And that's like 10 years before Farm Aid and Live Aid and all the, Feed the World and all that.
Well,
Yeah,
you
You
had a lot
know,
of stuff in the '60s. I think Concert for Bangladesh being one of them, and stuff like that.
right.
It's a big
Yeah.
part of the kind of '60s counterculture
Yeah.
ethos.
It's just so cool that it's still going. The food banks is, it's still in his name. And I would venture to, I wonder how many people realize it's the same Harry Chapin, you know.
yeah. His manager was Ken Cragen. I don't know if you know that name,
No.
Mhm.
but if you're one of the great music video documentary film is called I don't know. It's about I can't remember the name of it, but it's about the creation of that song "We Are the World."
Hmm.
Oh, okay.
You remember that big hit
Yeah,
record
Oh
with
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
with
I
That
remember the
was our
video,
generation. Yeah.
Hands Across America and everything.
Michael Jackson, Cyndi Lauper, everybody you could think of.
Yeah, Stevie Wonder.
Stevie Wonder was there. Lots of people, and
Bob um,
Bob
Bob Dylan was
Geldof.
there.
Bob Geldof. There you
Yeah.
go.
Bob Geldof, yeah, from the Boomtown Rats.
Yeah, yeah.
He had he had just done his British version of that before the "We Are the World" song came about.
Feed the world, let them know it's Christmas time. Yeah.
Yeah,
That,
Band-Aid, was that it? Band-Aid?
do they know it's Christmas time at
Yeah.
all?
Yeah.
Band-Aid was I think Band-Aid was the American version. I don't remember. But
Okay.
yeah, there was a British version, Feed the World, Do They Know It's
Yeah.
Christmas Time or what? And then there's the American version,
Gotcha.
And,
We Are
and
the World. Yeah.
documentary film, Bob Geldof is there, and he speaks, very um, effectively to all those, massive those rock stars that were there,
Right.
telling them about his experience with the other record.
Yeah. Um, well, one last thing I wanted to ask you because you were right there in basically New England in that mid to late 70s. You were right there at the punk explosion up there. Did you guys look negatively towards those bands, or was it just all
Yeah,
part of
what was that like being
scene?
kind of in a soft kind of mellow folk outfit, and then suddenly you've got the Ramones and the
New York
Dictators and
Dolls and
the Sex Pistols and all these people. What was that like? Did that affect you guys at all?
No, we didn't think about it too much, but I thought about it on my own, really. It's interesting all this stuff is out there and we're so not that. You
right. Yeah,
but
exactly.
but we no, we didn't think too much about it. I remember on one of our first tours of England, every single place we played there was a poster up for the Ramones. They were like there just a few days before us or a few days after us.
That's a legendary tour. That was probably around 76.
It's about, yeah.
Yeah, that
It's
was a legendary tour. The Ramones swept through there in 76, and then suddenly there were all these English punk bands like
The
the
Clash.
Clash, the Sex Pistols. They all went to
yeah.
those Ramones shows and
Yeah.
cut their hair, threw away their love beads, and put on dog collars and
The
yeah.
Marky Ramone, the drummer for the
Yeah.
Ramones,
Yeah.
he was from my neighborhood in Brooklyn.
Oh wow.
And
So he was in Dust back.
Yeah,
how do
that's
you
an
know that? How do
obscure
you know
reference.
that? How do you know that band's name, Dust?
I have their
We're
first
music
album.
fanatics.
No
Yeah.
kidding.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he played in Dust, which of course went nowhere.
Yeah.
Um, but I had heard, wow, there's a guy in the neighborhood that's actually on an album, you know, and then um, and then he played in a band with some friends of mine, with a guy named Wayne County.
Yeah,
Uh,
Wayne slash Jane County. We know who that is too.
right, Jane County. He became Jane County,
Yeah.
and I went to see them, and and I was hanging out with my friends and Mark on more than one occasion, and then some years passed, and the Ramones happened for him. And then we were at my the same friend I mentioned that played with Mark. Uh, we were at his 50th birthday party, and Mark was there, and he and I started talking, and um, and he was, I was telling him, I teach a lot. I have a lot of students because he was asking me what I do. I said, "Yeah, I teach a lot of drum students," and he said, "Could you teach me how to read music?" I said, "Yeah, I can do that."
Wow.
And he started coming over to my house
Wow.
lessons for about 6 months. And he was a very good student, I have to say.
So you
Um,
taught Marky Ramone how to read music.
how to read music, yeah,
That's awesome.
and yeah, he knew that the Ramones was not going to go on forever. Are they still
Right.
together? I don't think so.
No, no, they broke up for a while. He basically started his own band called Marky Ramone and the Intruders, so he still tours with that band,
Yeah, and I
and
mean he's
th
riding the Ramones
they
waves,
do
but
Ramones songs and stuff. But yeah, the Ramones broke up in the mid '90s. But the fact that you taught him how to read, the fact that Harry Chapin's drummer
Yep.
taught the Ramones drummer how to read music is beautiful and poetic in some way.
Yeah, he was a very nice guy. He was a cool guy, and I couldn't teach him much about playing drums. He was a fantastic rock drummer.
Yeah.
But
Did you ever see him when he was playing with Richard Hell? Richard Hell and the Voidoids?
right, that was the band he was in before Wayne County.
Yeah.
Uh, Wayne County, by the way, they were signed to Main Man Records, which was David Bowie's label.
Yeah, I
So,
could see that. Yeah.
so my friend used to tell me, yeah, Bowie dropped in today for a minute. So that was pretty cool. And yeah, right. Um, Richard Hell and the Voidoids, right? Wow, wasn't expecting to hear anybody say that today. Um,
so one of our passions are tracking down these late '60s, early '70s obscure rock bands like Dust or Bang. Some of these bands. There was a band called Iron Warhorse. Uh, they'd have like one album.
Buffalo out of Australia. Yeah.
Buffalo,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
just great, great music, and Dust was one of those bands that I discovered, and
Yeah,
then
I remember getting the text from you. Oh man, this band Dust had Marky Ramone in it.
yeah,
his name was Mark Bell.
Yeah,
Mark Bell,
Mark
yeah,
Bell, yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
and that's the same. That's why Cowboy Mock Bell, Mach, his name is Mark Bell, but he
Uh,
goes by Mock Bell, which
and
is
it
how his mom pronounced his
and the
name.
story there is he was hanging out with this guy named Steve Bator, and they both decided to change their first names because their first names were too common. So Steve changed his name to Stiv
Viv,
Bator,
yeah.
and he became the vocalist for the Dead Boys, which was another
Right.
one of those punk bands from that scene.
So I know that name. Yeah, I
And
recognize Steve Bader.
yeah, Mark Bell became Mock Bell. So
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
when I was giving Mark drum lessons, he was with the Ramones and he was playing at the Roseland Ballroom, and he invited me and he got me in the VIP section, so I was able to like sit
nice.
comfortably and watch the
See the
Ramones
Ramones, yeah.
and watch their fans go crazy in
Oh,
them.
yeah.
Yeah,
And that's when, so Tommy left the band to kind of oversee their,
he
you know,
produced a couple albums. Yeah,
produce, yeah.
He was
But
the original drummer, right?
yeah,
yeah.
he only played on that first record, if
Right.
I,
I think it's one or might have been up to three records. He played on a few of them, but yeah, Marky was my favorite of the. Who was the other one? Richie. I
yeah,
thought Marky was the more solid drummer
yeah.
of those two. Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and he wore a wig, I think, if I remember.
Mark?
Yeah.
That's kind of the rumor. Yeah, at this point, when you get old, I mean, hell, half of these guys out there are wearing wigs. Do you think anybody in Kiss has their hair for real?
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But Mark was he was running a liquor store for a while on his Ramones money.
Oh
Oh,
wow,
wow. I
that's
didn't know that.
Yeah. Huh.
That's so cool.
Yeah, Mark was a very nice, he was a down to earth guy.
Mhm. So what are you doing lately? You're doing these little backyard party type things and
Yeah, and then whatever Chapin gigs pop up, and
uh
I play a few gigs a year with a band up in up in near Springfield, Connecticut. And they do. I play a show with them. They do a dedicated night of Cat Stevens and Harry Chapin.
oh,
So,
nice.
I do a few of those a year with them, and
It's funny you mentioned Cat Stevens because I always kind of put Harry Chapin and Cat Stevens kind of similar,
yeah,
his
yeah,
name
people
crossed my
can.
mind when we were talking about those early '70s folk guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, people confuse the two sometimes.
Yeah. Well, if you ever get down to Fort Myers, let me know in our email. I would love to come out and catch that show. That's sounds like quite a, you know, 10, 15 people on stage is
You're in Fort Myers now,
yeah.
I'm still in Atlanta, yeah.
and you're still in Atlanta.
Mm.
See. Okay, yeah. Well, I hope we get down there at some point.
Yeah, I'll familiarize myself with your site, and if you post tour dates, I'll see it, you know.
Yeah, I do. I
Yeah.
do. We'll be up there.
Right.
Um, the next thing we have scheduled is we're playing up in Canada in August near Halifax. Um,
Okay.
and then when I don't have anything till February, we're going out to some shows in the Midwest, Chicago, Minneapolis,
Hmm.
a few.
See,
Right.
that's so cool. It's just, low key. You're not, you know, taking on some massive tour, and then it's a grind. You can enjoy yourself, and you know, uh,
I tell you the truth, I wouldn't mind it. I wouldn't mind going out for 2 or 3 weeks and doing
yeah,
you know, 15 shows. Um, I think I could handle it.
yeah, yeah. It
So
would be just the experience would be
It's
so
still, I
amazing.
mean, what you're doing now is still more fun than a lot of people are having.
Yeah,
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 just trying to enjoy myself. That's
Yeah,
all.
yeah.
that's
That's
great.
that's the key, man. You've got so many people beat.
Yeah.
Um, but I guess we'll wrap it up. We'll let you get back to your evening.
Yeah, this
Okay.
has been great. Thank you for sharing your experience with us. We both found it fascinating being the music history nuts that we are, and our audience will for sure. So this has been excellent. I will, in the email thread that we have, when this is posted, I'll send you a link. If you want to send it to anybody or listen to it or whatever, you'll have it.
Do
or
let,
or post it on your site that you did a
Yeah,
thing with
post it
us.
on the site.
How
Let people know.
whatever you want to, whatever you can
I
do,
will.
that'd be
Sure.
fun.
Nice talking to you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, this has been great.
Um,
Thank you very
but it's
much.
been such an honor. I love connecting with that time frame. Is so many amazing bands and stuff. So
Yeah. Listen, you should check out on my website. You'll see something that's called Rock Paper, and that's a little side business I have. I sell concert ads and 60s, 70s, and 80s.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
Probably have 10,000 concert ads that are like neatly cut out of newspapers.
oh wow,
That's
Uh,
cool.
I'll have to look at
We
that.
text
Wow.
each other those things all the time. When
yeah,
someone will run across, early 70s, David Bowie, Alice Cooper, and The Who at the such and such. And the funny thing, a lot of times there's some band that you've never heard of opening, the Howard Marks band or whatever,
Yeah.
and
yeah.
you always wonder what that guy's doing these days.
Yeah.
Guy that opened
Take
for
a look.
Hendrix
Take
and
a
The
look.
Who.
Take a look, and if you ever need something like that, let me know.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
that will definitely, our podcast listeners will definitely hear about that, and we'll definitely link your site. So that'll be great. Get the word out about that.
All
Yeah.
right. Well, thank you.
Yep. So we're gonna say goodbye. Just hang out until we
And say
stop
goodbye to the
recording.
audience and
Yeah.
hang out with us for a second, if you would. We'll see everybody next week. We got
All right,
more
kids.
coming.
Deuces.
Peace out.